All right, guys, so this is inside of the actual software I use and the actual name of the software, and I'll provide all this stuff is inside the resource center. You'll have links to everything that, I'll be talking about, but anytime that you want to have a resource, it'll be inside of the resources library, and all this stuff will be inside there for you. All right, the name of the software is called Home Designer, and they have different levels. I think this particular one was the upgraded one from the basic because I wanted certain features, and to be honest with you, it's been such a long time since I've ordered this, I forget exactly what that was, but I think my version was like around $100, which at the end of the day really isn't bad considering to what this can do and really help conceptualize. Had I had this software on some of my beginning projects, I would have made a lot more money. I would have had things been done quicker, and it really gives you the ability to conceptualize how things are going to look so you can make the appropriate decisions on here. And what I did, I went ahead of time and created all these different various views, and I'm going to walk you through that. Incidentally, if you don't want to pay for a program like this, you really don't have to, because a lot of this stuff you can get online for free with limitations. For example, the main reason I bought this software was because I started using the free ones online, and I quickly realized that they had limitations that for me, and to give presentations for my own projects as well as clients, it just wasn't going to cut the mustard, so to speak. So I went ahead and I did a lot of research, and I came across this one. And just in general, just going through this whole program, I'm cutting your time in half, spending countless time online that I did to find the right program. And it's like just more or less trial and error. I can't tell you how many programs I did. So just that one piece is just one small example of the huge benefit that's wrapped inside of this little business model that you decided to invest in yourself in. And, I don't know what the price tag is for your time, but I know for some people that time is precious. And, I was always taught when we're looking at increasing, my productivity is put a price tag on your time. And when you do that, you realize how precious your time is. So what I'm going to do here is this is the project that I was telling you about and that we're using as an example in week 2 for a basic improvement model. And what you're going to see on the right-hand side here is the existing layout of the home, which, again, is poorly laid out. And, I'm not going to spend time here figuring out why they did that, but, it is what it is. And I saw it, and I walked through, and I saw, it took me a couple times to look at this and see and conceptualize everything, but along I came to use this software a lot to help me with that. So you'll notice here, the front door is right here, and I'm going to also, switch views so I can show you that, which will kind of also give you an example of various different views that are here. So this is what they call perspective full overview. You're able to get, real clear picture of what the home looks like, and if you just here, you have the ability to go really any direction, any view. You want to go top view, this view. Really, sky's the limit on whatever you want to toy around with this mouse. It's just a matter of getting used to the mouse and really figuring out. You can also zoom in, zoom out, and it really helps you out with conceptualizing things and putting things in place and knowing what can be done, what can't be done. And like I said, I had this software, probably would have saved a lot of projects that had failed from failing, and having the software really helps. All right, so that's the one view. Now, what I want to point out here is this is the way that the house was. You also, too, by the way, if you just take your mouse and swing it, it'll automatically just rotate 360, so you don't have to hold it there, which is convenient, especially for me giving presentations here. All right, so what you're going to notice is when it swings back around to the front, I'll pause it so that you can get an understanding of what I'm talking about here. And we'll pause that right there. All right, so you'll notice first things first. Let me actually just swing it around a little bit more. This is the one of the existing structure, and then over here is the proposed changes that we're going to be doing. So notice first and foremost is the door is here, and we're moving it to over here. All right, and an even cooler view is what they call dollhouse, where it removes the roof, and now you have the ability to to do all the things I just mentioned, swinging around, up, down, over, but now sort of in a dollhouse type of view. All right, so I'm going to stick to here for some of this and, you know, use this as the example of what we're going to do here. All right, so let me just change the angle here. All right, cool. So, again, you'll notice this is where the front door is right now. That's where the front door is. And, again, I mentioned this on the beginning portion of this presentation that it was really poorly designed. They didn't spend a lot of time here for whatever reason. I think a lot of times, too, these homes were up in Lake Opakon were really vacation homes. So it really wasn't designed for a family, and the way things are, obviously, it was years ago as well, and they had different views of the way floor plans were supposed to be. But first and foremost, I'll start off with this front door here. What they have is like a little, you know, I guess entranceway, and then there's a closet right there. And then on the other side of this closet is a huge, I mean, oversized laundry, I guess, room to have that in there. And then the bathroom, too, is extraordinarily large for, you know, what its purpose is serving. And you notice I'm going to show you some things on what I've done in there to kind of save some space and so on and so forth. So with that said, you come in here and you have this little half wall that separates the living room, all right? And you walk through here. You've got this wall here, which serves as a closet for the front door. You walk in. You got this laundry room, and then you've got the kitchen. And then over here is like a little nook for, you know, I guess they use it for, you know, like sort of like a little miniature eat-in kitchen type thing. And it's, you know, just a lot of this stuff is all wasted space that, again, using the software, we're able to better, you know, plan and make it more, you know, utilitarian as well. And over here, you'll notice this has like a little, again, half wall. When you would walk in this door, I don't know why it was there, and, you know, I'm not about to figure out why, but the point is it was poorly designed. So in the new plan, what we're doing here, and I was able to do this, by the way, with just looking at this, taking all the walls out, and just sitting there using my mind and figuring out what's a better way, what's a better plan, knowing the variables that I know that I shared with you in the beginning, knowing where the best use of spending your time is, in the kitchens, in the bathrooms. And in this particular case, this had a 3-bedroom septic. And we're going to get into a whole really detailed section on septic systems, so I'm not really going to go too much in depth with that. Some people like septic systems, some people don't. I personally think they're great because they also serve, if you use them right, you can also create, believe it or not, an energy supply out of it as well. And again, I'm going to get into in another training, so I'm not going to go into too much depth with that. But for the most part, as it pertains to this specific video and this presentation here, when it comes to a septic, it's zoned by the number of bedrooms that the septic serves. All right, so if this was a 2-bedroom septic, no matter which way I reconfigured everything, this house could only stay as a 2-bedroom septic, which, you know, knowing the variables where you can add value by adding, let's say, another bedroom or another bathroom, you know, that's really where you're going to get the maximum amount of return. And obviously this is one of the reasons I chose this property as well for that specific purpose as well, because this had a 3-bedroom. And by the way, in order for you to classify that, this has to be verified with the town. So it's called a 3-bedroom verified septic, which means that I can now add a bedroom in here and count it as a bedroom, and everything's within compliance and everything's legal, and there's nothing illegal about, you know, trying to modify this. Because there are some people who say, all right, whatever, I'm just going to add a wall up, and there you go, it's a 3-bedroom. But obviously when you go through to buy a house, you have to do your due diligence, get inspections, go to the town, and if that's found out, you're not going to be able to use it. And obviously an appraiser is going to do that very exact thing because they're required by law to do that and by the banks for them to do that. So, you know, in a scenario with a septic, you're trying to pull the wool over someone's eyes, it's, you know, it's not going to happen. But at any rate, the benefit is here that it does have 3 bedrooms, and from there I was able to just know immediately that was the one thing I wanted to do, is add a master suite, because that's where you're really going to get a maximum return. So in essence, what I did here is just redesign this entire floor plan. I figured out the best way to do that is by moving the door, the front door, over to here. So, you know, in the beginning it's right here. After, again, this took me some time going back and forth, and I switched the plan a few times. That's what's great about having this software, is you have that ability. And, depending upon how you structure these things, you have the time to do that. A lot of times, obviously, you're going to be working with me, and I can give some insight and maybe help share with you how I would do it. Because ultimately, this is yours, baby. This is the house you're going to be living in. You want to be able to really design it the way you want and get the maximum flow out of it and get the maximum, as a result, return. All right. So I decided after, again, toying around with various different floor plans that the best way was having a door here, and you'll notice immediately on the other side is the closet that services this area. I forgot to put this in here. The closet that services this area right now is right back here. There's another little wall there, and I forgot to put that in there because this particular closet services this bedroom. All right, so there was like a little small, I want to say 3x2 closet that was in there. And so what I decided to do when we redesigned this is I took the closet out of there. This way everything was one big, not big, but one relatively large size bedroom, and then just put the closet on the other side where this was. And I just swapped out windows. So I just took that window and added it over there. As you don't want a closet in your a window in your closet really wouldn't serve its purpose. It's better to utilize where light can get in, and I brought it over onto this side. And then you'll notice here where this was closed off, I'm just keeping the existing footprint of this layout here as far as the kitchen goes. And that's great because now you're able to really just get away with refacing this kitchen. And that really helps with the budget. I was able just to get the cabinet doors in here, and they're really nice. They're called shaker doors, which is like that squared, and then it's like embedded. It was a really nice look. And I think since this was a small house, we decided to go with, the white kitchen. I'm going to show you that in a different view that we have. But the great thing is, as far as the kitchen goes, is really this whole kitchen, including everything, granite, just the new cabinet doors, the whole kit and caboodle was like only $6,000, and that was me going with a little bit upgraded, more than basic appliance set, So ultimately, really save a lot of money. You hear, sometimes kitchens going for $30,000, $6,000 to have granite, beautiful cabinets, stainless appliances is the home run. So moving forward here, now by bringing this wall down, we've created a nice little peninsula-type style kitchen with an island. If you wanted to, you could put some chairs over here. Now it has its own dining room, which prior to this didn't have. So another reason, by just knocking this little area down, it freed up so much space that now I could create a master suite in here. And then also by knocking this wall down, really creating the ability to have this one big open concept here, which really is what obviously drives the market right now, what people want, and makes sense because it just gives you the feeling of volume of a larger space. It's only a 1,000 square foot house, and when you see the 3Ds inside, you're going to see, even just looking at this, it's like, wow, looking at this, the two, it's just a really wasted space. Another reason it's also a horrible floor plan, look over here. You're, let's just say, having a party, having family over, right? And, you're in the kitchen here, and it's summer, and you want to go out on the deck. What do you got to do? You got to go through someone's bedroom to get to the door. So that's another reason why immediately my head started turning in that direction by just flipping this around, putting 2 bedrooms over here and having this final third one here would really make the most sense. And then really tying all things together here, let me bring in this view here. So again, this is another view you have, the ability to go inside the house and, really create all these different angles. And again, you can do the same thing, different angles going this way, one way. And again, this is how I really figured everything out on the best use of this property, doing this way. And what I want to point out, and the whole reason why I kind of transitioned into this, is if you notice here, the way you can use this house, you can also use this as, let's say you don't need a third bedroom and you want a larger, living room. you can now take this dining room, put this dining room over into here, or you can use that like as a bar area, an entertainment area. You know, the multiple things you could do, and that's the reason why I put French doors there to, you know, to offer that option to someone. And if they're just using it as a bedroom, then all you got to do is put blinds on there, and you've got your own private bedroom. There's a closet in there, and it can be counted as a bedroom. Just, again, another way to leave multiple options on the table, because this particular property that we're doing this to sell it. We're fixing and selling. You know, obviously, we're going to do a fix and sell model, and we want to maximize the utility of a scenario like I just presented to you. And that all comes with experience, you know, and that's why you're working with someone like myself, because I've done it before. As I mentioned from the day one when you started this journey trying to find out if I was too legit to quit, you know, one of the things I said is I practice what I preach, and this is a prime example of it. So ultimately, I think the way this was designed here was a home run, transferring it from where it was to what you now see in front of you. Now, again, this is the front entrance, right? And then, you know, that's the main living dining room. Now, so the kitchen area swinging around, which you'll notice has nice vaulted ceilings. And again, that was another reason why I chose this house, because of all the positives that were attached to it. Yes, it showed very bad. I showed this house to a couple other people, and they just couldn't get past the smell. It was like just loaded with cat or dog urine, and really, all in all, just really horribly shown, and the floor plan didn't help at all either. All right. So yeah, there you go, your 3D view. All right. And then what I'm going to do next is go into the next room down there and go into the hallway, which will be down here, and I'll go into the master suite. All right, so this is the master suite, and again, same thing with this software. You can go in and out, forward, down, whatever your goal is. Another cool thing is, like, for example, we're doing a presentation here, so I want to show you something. Right now there's a walk-in closet there, so instead of like trying to go all the way through, it kind of distorts it if you like try to zoom in on it, and it's hard to do the 3D version of it. It's easier just to modify this existing wall. So, you know, the existing tools, you go in there, you just click on that wall and you click open, and then you can do various different things in it, you know, as far as the room type. And I think I'm just looking for, oh, you know what, I have to go through a different view. This is just one of the things that you figure out as you go through this, that, you know, certain things allow you to do certain things where certain other views don't allow you to do that. But at any rate, what I wanted to show you is by opening this wall up, you can change the view of it, which will enable you to, I'll show you what I'm talking about when it loads. That's another thing. This is a very resource gobbling program, so it's not one of those programs where you want to have like 12 windows open, because you saw how long it took. And this is a brand new computer. It's a higher end. I think it's got like 8 gigs of RAM, or a little bit even more than that. I think 12 gigs of RAM, and it's still that slow. So at any rate, what I was talking about here is you could put invisible, right? So it doesn't remove the wall, it just marks it as invisible so you get a better view of it. I think that was the view we were on, right? This one? Right. So now you can see, and the whole reason I did that was because I wanted to show you that this was a walk-in closet. So what I did here, since there's already 2 existing windows, obviously I don't want to put that window in the closet because it's going to rob all the light of the room. So I just made this little notch out here. And there, when we probably go to sell this, we're going to stage this as like a little nook where you could have, like, you know, not so much an office, but a little nook that you can maybe do like bills or something like that. And it's a cool little nook, and it keeps the light coming in, and it's just another resource little added there. But this is a nice size walk-in closet. And again, you notice you could change the different angles so you could see going around and everything. So all in all, a nice size. You know, I think that's about 6 feet by, you know, the length of the room, whatever that is, with that little notch in there. So all in all, a nice size. And then, you know, just swing around here. And there, I'll do the same thing with that wall, which is where the master bathroom is. So that means I'm going to have to go back over to this view. And then I'll take this wall over here. And I'll do the same thing. I'll just open it up. There we go. You gotta have patience sometimes with these things, because if you're not clicking on just the right thing, it'll open up, like you saw, different things. All right. So again, we're going to put invisible, and then I'll just give the ability as if that wall isn't even there. I think we were back at this view. Right. So now, boom, you see what this looks like. And I was able, now, if you remember, let's go back to this, see if this brings us the view I wanted. This is the view. Now, if you remember, pretty much what I did here is I converted this otherwise unused area that used to be a laundry room, a closet, and I transformed it by just taking this wall and pulling it all the way out where the window is, and then just redesigning all this. I was able to create a master bathroom. And so what you see here, exactly what I was talking about, where just by redesigning this room, I was able to, move the wall over, move the door over, make the entrance over here, and be able to get into space that was over here, able to get a full master suite, as well as a decent-sized little mud room here, where it has, stackable washer-dryer, has a closet, and folding space, and plenty of storage inside of there. So let's go back to that 3D view, and you'll notice that same thing. I kept the same theme here with regard to the vaulted ceilings. I was able to get a separate stall shower, a soaker tub, 60-inch vanity, and a toilet, and it's a great master suite. And so that's just again, an example of what's possible here. And I'll just finish this up with the final bedroom, which is in here. Yeah, it's not huge, but this is a queen-size bed, so still, considering with 1,000 square feet, I was able to get a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and with the vaulted ceilings, when you're dealing with a small house, it's almost like a must if you can. So when I saw those vaulted ceilings, I only had a vault, I think, probably like this room, and I think there was one other small room that I had, so all the rest of them were existing. So really kept the cost down on that as well. And, it's a nice little bedroom here, queen-size bed. You're still able to get 2 end tables in there. And, by designing it the way that I did with this little extra bump out here and everything, it really maximizes the square footage of this room, really gives the feel of a much larger space, especially combined with the vaulted ceilings. And then you got your little closet in there, which is, more than enough closet for a child. And, that's pretty much it. So, again, we'll use this as our little recap here, try to get the best view possible. And see pretty much everything come full circle in here, really massively transform the property, increase the value. So what we're going to do next is really show you what I was mentioning earlier, where I said the goal of this project is to create, between 75 to 100,000. I think I'm being conservative there. I think we might be able to squeeze out a little bit more, and we'll see. And if this video is done later and I'm able to show you the documentation of that, we're in the process of doing everything right now. So if I have proof of that by the time, or maybe I'll just update the video, either or, I'll show you proof of the closing statement and all that. But I personally think we're going to be able to sell this for a little bit higher and walk out with a little bit more than what I projected. But the point being is I'm going to bring you through the process that I'm going to go with through all my clients, so we figure out if this is a viable transaction, this makes sense or not, so we can, do something where we know we're going to have a positive return for our efforts. But so I'm going to do right now is kind of pull some of the comps that I use to analyze this and show you where I feel that number 75 to 100 is pretty on point, and if anything might be a little bit more than that. So I always try to be a little bit more conservative than more aggressive, and this is a prime example of that. All right.